you're thinking about moving to the Emerald Coast, these are 17 things you need to know about moving here that you've probably not been told before, even if you're watching our channel. So I thought it would be good for me to kind of come up with some of the quirky stuff that maybe we don't necessarily think about when we're doing these videos to showcase off the Emerald Coast to you guys, but might be very important to know nonetheless. And even though some of these might come as a surprise to you, other ones might not. So let's go ahead and get started. So without making you guys wait any longer, let's go ahead and get started with our first of 17 little tidbits. The first thing on my list is Southern hospitality is real, but there's a little bit of a catch. When I say a catch, I mean, yeah, Southern hospitality is real here in the northwest part of Florida, but the catch is they kind of expect you to reciprocate. It's just sort of the vibe out here in general. And that also means that there is a little bit of a slower pace of moving around here. Now, it's not exactly island time as you might see, like if you go to St. Thomas or one of the Virgin Islands or something like that. I do remember when I went there, everything, just going to dinner took 2 to 3 hours. They were super slow paced. And we do have a little bit of that, but it's not near as bad. So as long as you're okay with that portion, then moving here shouldn't be an issue. The second one on my list is one that I have actually talked about before, but it's been well over a year since I've mentioned it on this channel, and that is the attire out here. And by that, I mean the local dress code is beach casual. I get comments all the time about me wearing flip-flops and shorts, and that's just sort of my day-to-day. Even as a real estate professional, a lot of the real estate professionals out here are wearing suits, but a lot of us are just wearing the local gear, which again is beach casual. Now, this has some distinct pros and cons to it. To me, they're almost all pros, but to some people, this might actually be kind of a bad thing. Some people want to go up and dress out when they go to restaurants and things. And out here, you can definitely do that, but you're also going to be sitting next to somebody in a Tommy Bahama shirt, shorts, and flippy floppies. And quite frankly, you've just got to be okay with it because that is kind of the norm here. And that's where the pro portion of it comes in, is that you do get to go straight from the beach into a nice fancy restaurant if you would like. And of course, you've got the option to go home and get all dolled up and look pretty, but you definitely don't have to, at least in most of our restaurants. So leave your fancy clothes at home in your closet and save them for special occasions and just enjoy the fact that you get to walk around in shorts and flippy floppies. Number 3 on our list is that gun culture is commonplace, not the exception. So you'll see gun fairs, you'll see pawn shops that sell guns, Bass Pro Shop, all of these different places because we are very pro gun in this general area. In fact, it's very common for a lot of people to have a concealed permit license. So there's a good chance that somebody sitting next to you at the bank or at Walmart might be packing a weapon. Now, for some of you, you just heard, holy cow, there's guns running rampant, and others of you heard, great, we are probably safe almost anywhere we go. And I think that second one is probably closer to being true, but I might be a little bit biased as a gun owner myself. And that leads right into the number 4 thing on our list, is that this area, particularly along the Gulf Coast or the Emerald Coast, typically leans a little bit red. So if you're one of those that don't want to move to an area where most of your neighbors are going to have Trump signs in the yard, or whoever happens to be running red that year, then this might not be the best place for you. But just note that everybody's welcome here, and I've never seen any sort of, problems or issues. And, even if you had a sign that was not the norm out here, out in front of your yard, nobody messes with it, nobody bugs you. So I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing, but to some people, this might be a deal killer. Number 5 on our list is about religion, but not the religion that you're thinking of. This religion is called football, and it is very prevalent here, not just NFL. In fact, I would almost say NFL takes a back seat to college football, particularly Florida and Alabama fans are running rampant in these streets, okay? Now, I don't watch a whole lot of football, but I won't go to a sports bar on a Saturday unless I'm okay being around a bunch of people because it is packed to the brim almost everywhere you go, that, everywhere that's playing the games anyway. And it's very friendly and it's very fun and, there's a lot of banter back and forth, but at the end of the day, football is a really big thing here, but it's not just college and NFL. It's also the high schools around here. It is an event. It's like a big cultural event here when there is a big game going on, particularly with a big rival here. They pack the the bleachers, they pack them. And it's just, people make a whole night of it on a Friday, Saturday night, Thursday night, what have you. And it's a really cool thing to go to if you haven't experienced a It's almost like a small town vibe when you go to one of the football games, but then you're still right here in these coastal cities, which is super cool. As somebody that came from a small town, I was a transplant from here, from a little town in New Mexico. Really, really small town. Like I'm talking like 12,000 people or something like that. As a transplant for that, like I remember what those games meant and what they feel like. And I get the exact same vibes here in the local area, which is completely new to me for it having as many people as we have here. By the way, my name is Andrew. Of course, you can call me Mongo. I run a real estate team here in the local area. We cover everything from Pensacola to Panama City Beach, and of course, everything in between as far north as Crestview, Defuniak Springs, things like that. So we're covering the entire area, and we have a specialist for each area here. So if at the end of this video, you hear these 17 things and you think, yeah, I still want to move there. Well, hey, go ahead and give us a call. All of our information will pop up on the screen. You can call me, text me, email me, however you'd like to get a hold of me. There's even a Calendly link in the description below. You can get right onto my calendar so that we can discuss your potential move. Even if you're like 6 months out, I would urge you to call us anyway. That way we can start narrowing down which area might be best for you. Now, back to the list. All right, no list in Florida would be complete without something about hurricanes. So number 6 on our list is hurricane prep is not negotiable. I mean, I guess it is negotiable. It's your life, but you really shouldn't. And I'm saying this knowing full well that my hurricane preparedness kit is pretty lacking right now. So this is almost me speaking to me here. But as soon as you move down here, one of the first things I would suggest for you to do is get a big blue bin, a big plastic tub or something like that. Throw some waters, batteries, flashlights, those chargeable things for your phone, just everything you can in there. And even consider maybe getting a home generator, if you really want to make sure that all your food in the fridge doesn't spoil and things like that. Although it is rare, or at least it seems rare, it's, only once every few years that we even have to deal with the potential of this. I mean, I guess there's a potential every single year, but we don't generally get hit as often as other parts of the state. So it's not as big for us, but you definitely don't want to be doing this last minute stuff whenever a hurricane's in the Gulf of Mexico and coming straight toward us. So with that, also make sure you have an evacuation plan. You know what your floodplain zone is, and also that when you need to evacuate, because a lot of people don't know this, but we actually have sections. For instance, my home is in section B, flood zone B, or it's not flood zone, evacuation zone B, which means that like hurricane category 2 and higher, they are suggesting that I get out of town, which I never do, but I should. I should definitely follow that, and you guys should too. All right, number 7 on our list is you will need to adapt to humidity out here. The humidity it's there, and it's there all the time. It doesn't go away. If you've got curly hair, you ladies, like getting all done up and stuff, just know that this humidity will take its toll. You are going to need some extra products to keep that hair in line. And with humidity goes number 8 on our list, which is the sun. The sun is brutal. If you guys have been watching our channel for a while, thank you, by the way. You've heard me talk about this many, many, many times. I keep sunscreen everywhere. I've got some here in my office. I've got one in each of my vehicles. I've got some at home. It doesn't matter. I'm throwing sunscreen on, particularly in the summer months. Even just driving, like I can get driver's arm pretty bad. I mean, I'm a pretty pale person. A lot of folks aren't going to have to deal with this as much as I do, but I make sure that my beach gear is protected against the sun. I think they call it UPF or something like that. I wear long sleeves when I go to the beach. I'm that guy. I hate getting burned. I just massively dislike it. But just note that if you are going to move down here, the sun is brutal. It's kind of like the sun in Mario just chasing you around. That's exactly what it feels like from time to time. So a lot of us go straight from the house to the car, to the office, or wherever we're going. Try to stay out of that sun as much as possible. And when you are out there, make sure you protect yourself. Number 9 on our list is beware of love bug season. Yes, about twice a year, we get love bug swarms that come in. We also sometimes get this, depending on which city you're in, some of them are worse than others. We can also get this with termites. You heard that right. I know you're thinking termites are just going to eat your house up. Most of us have protection on our homes. We've got bait stations. It's definitely a concern, but not near as bad as what I think a lot of people think they are. But just note that this is going to happen. They're going to get on your car. You're going to drive through them, and you're going to have to spend a little extra time at the car wash knocking those bugs off. If you haven't done so already, if you've made it this far, I feel like you got a little bit of value here. All I'm asking for in exchange is slap that little like button and maybe even consider a subscribe if you are not already subscribed. We do videos every single week on Tuesdays, just like clockwork. You can sit in front of your TV and watch it, what have you. And we go over everything from Pensacola to Panama City Beach, and again, everything in between. We showcase off different neighborhoods, different towns where you might want to live, pros and cons, all of that great stuff, and you don't want to miss out. All right, number 10. 10 is one that a lot of us locals love to hate, but we also love that it happens, and that is the tourism. You are going to deal with tourism while you're out here. You're going to deal with longer lines, particularly in the summer months, spring months, or spring break rather, in summer months, holidays in particular. Just know that going into it. And that also means that the beach is going to be a little bit more crowded. We joke a lot here as locals that, hey, it's beach season for us when all the tourists leave because we like a nice empty beach. It's one of the big quirks of being out here. When you get out to the beach when tourist season isn't here and it's still warm, it's still beautiful, and you can't see anybody, you just see a few handfuls of people, it is a really, really cool treat for us. But that also means that we've got to deal with the tourists while they're here. There's going to be traffic jams, just all of the stuff that comes with it. But we really, really, if you guys have ever visited here, we thank you. We love it. You guys get rid of our income tax because we have so much tourism in the state. We don't pay any income tax, at least on the state level here. All right, number 11 is almost more of a warning for you guys. The flags on the beach mean something, okay? Red flags really mean something here. This isn't just one of those, hey, she has a red flag if, dating sort of things. The flags on our beaches are there for a purpose. If you see double red flag, it is telling you not to get in the water, not even a little bit, like not even ankle deep. Don't do it. The rip tides will rip you right out of the ocean or right out of the land into the ocean. It's not a good time. It's there for your safety. We've got several different flags. We'll put them up somewhere right here and what they mean, but just be cognizant of that. I see it all too often of somebody out there swimming waist deep when it's double red flag out there. It is dangerous, so please watch those flags. And by the way, purple's the cool one because that means there's some wildlife out there. Sometimes it's just jellyfish. Other times it's a shark. Sometimes it's, whatever it is. Just pay attention to the flags, please. And number 12 is near and dear to my heart, and that is the entire Emerald Coast has a massive military vibe, and that's because it's everywhere. We've got Pensacola NAS in Pensacola. You've got Eglin Air Force Base, which is the largest by landmass base in the entire country. And I believe that's across all of the branches, not just Air Force. And it's because we do a lot of bomb testing, missile sites, stuff like that. So we need a lot of land to blow stuff up and, not have it shake houses and stuff, which still happens sometimes. Then you've got Duke up in Crestview, or 7th Special Forces are kind of attached there. You've got Hurlburt Field, which is the Air Force Special Operations version right there in Mary Esther on the west end of Fort Walton Beach. And then you've got Tyndall over in Panama City Beach. The point is, we're surrounded by bases, which means we're surrounded by a lot of military members. I'm prior military. I love that. Those are my people. I get it. I understand them. I speak the language. But to a lot of other folks, they don't know what that means. It means that while you're going out for lunch, there's going to be a military member next to you in full-blown uniform, probably a table of them, laughing, having a good time. And you might not see that if you're from a smaller town or away from a base. It might be a rarity where you're going, oh, wow, cool. We don't even notice it here. Like their camo actually makes them camo because there's just so much of it out there that we just don't notice. But a military vibe is a very good thing. For the most part, it means, just not as much bad stuff is happening around us, which is definitely a good thing. And number 13 on my list is outdoor living. It is a way of life out here. It doesn't matter whether you like the beach, whether you like kayaking, canoeing, tubing down a river, which you guys that have been subscribed for a while, you hear me talk about it all the time. In fact, our old intro used to have me just floating down Blackwater River, just enjoying it. But you've got jet skis, you've got pontoon boats, you've got Crab Island, you've even got hiking and nature trails out here. I was just on it yesterday with my pup, walked down to Roberts Creek, splashed around in there for a little bit and watched her play in the water, try to catch these little fish, which is hilarious because she's like a little 20-pound dog, but super, super fun. Outdoor life is amazing out here. Number 14 on my list is one of my faves. I absolutely love this, and I didn't like it when I first moved here, and that is the seafood. The seafood is not only fresh, it's inexpensive. It is coming right out of the water. Like you've heard of farm to table. This is ocean to table or water to table, whatever you want to call it. And so you can actually, some of the restaurants, you can actually see them pouring in the fish that they caught that day, and it's going straight into the kitchen, like literally instantly, right? So that is definitely cool. Now, when I first moved here, I wasn't a very big seafood person. I just, fish, like, maybe some deep fried catfish or something like that from time to time. And that was about the extent of my fish enjoyment. And now I'm absolutely hooked on redfish. It's one of my favorites. I'm pretty sure it's season or year round. If not, I see it all the time. And there's a bunch of others, grouper and mahi and just a ton of others. We got Gulf shrimp that are like freaking huge. They're literally like it's like this whole thing, right? So lots and lots of great seafood at a very inexpensive price. Now you go into Destin, 30A, Miramar Beach, Sandestin, those areas, you go to some of the touristy areas, you're going to pay touristy prices. And there are definitely fancier fish restaurants that are going to charge a little bit more, but it's not uncommon to go to some place like the Shack is one of my favorites here in Fort Walton Beach. Super inexpensive. Go there for lunch. It's $12. Get yourself a nice piece of redfish and a little side salad or what have you. Throw some Creole sauce on top. Oh, it's so good. So if you like seafood, heck, even if you don't like seafood, you'll eventually be turned on to it. It took me a decade before I started trying it, but now I absolutely love it. Number 15 on my list, we talked about a little bit with the tourism, and that is traffic. We have traffic out here. It is a real thing. I think when we're talking about traffic, though, a lot of times people really blow it out of proportion, or at least they're kind of thinking like LA or, New York, like some big city where you're going to be sitting in standstill traffic for minutes or hours on end. That's not really it. It turns a 15-minute drive into a 25-minute drive, turns a 30-minute drive into a 45 to an hour drive. And it's still not fun, but it's definitely not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. I remember doing a Google search on this and reading some comments on like TripAdvisor and a bunch of other places. They were talking about how horrendous it was and all this other stuff. And I think in the grand scheme of things, it's definitely worse than being in a small town, but it's not that bad. Now, that being said, I have also sat in traffic for 2.5 hours before trying to go 8 miles. But that is the rarity, not the normal, okay? So if you kind of pick the traffic patterns and understand when the traffic patterns are and maneuver around them, you'll be perfectly fine. I don't really need to worry about them anymore, and I've got to drive right past Hurlburt Field right as it's letting out every single day. I just extend my my work day a little bit. And then this way I completely miss it. So I work until 6 instead of 5, like not a big issue at all. But for some people, the traffic is definitely not fun. Number 16 on our list is the schools. The schools are highly ranked out here, but you need to know where you are zoned. They cut off very quickly, and it's not as easy to get into one school if you're not zoned for that school. So if schools are super important to you, please make sure you call us and make sure you let us know that when we do your buyer consultation. That's one thing that we do. As soon as you give us a call to move down here, we're going to sit with you and get all your wants and needs and explain the whole thing so that we don't like surprises here. We want to explain everything. One of the things that we do is really, really dig to see what's important to you. So make sure that you're letting us know that the school zone is important. And then this way we can plan your home shopping around that to make sure that you're getting exactly what you'd like and not having to fight and try to do waivers to get them in, which you can do. It's just not as easy to do as it has been here, as it was, several years ago. So just make note of that. And the last one on my list, number 17, is beach access can be a little bit tricky, especially during prime times. Not all beaches have a lot of parking. They're generally fairly limited. Most of the locals know some of the spots to go to. Like I've got my spots, beach access 3 and 4. Those are my two favorite on Okaloosa Island. Or if I go to Navarre, I head all the way and I go as far east as I can and kind of walk off a little bit that way, and it helps me out. But if you don't know those little spots, it might be kind of tricky to find parking, to see where wherever you're trying to go. Some of these places even charge you, although that's pretty rare in our area. I think there's like 1 or 2 spots that do it. I haven't been out to Henderson Beach State Park. They've got a beach area there. I don't remember if they charge or not, but you have all of these options, but it gets so busy with tourism or with tourists out there, that it could be kind of hard to do, and then it feels packed, and now you got the whole family and you're trying to enjoy it, and there's people all around you, and it can just definitely be a lot. So knowing the little beach spots is very helpful. So sometimes multiple neighborhoods will share one beach access point. You'll have your own code to it. It'll have a little gate there. Or of course, if you buy a house on the beach itself, you can actually own that portion of the beach, and they have beach patrol. They'll kick people off of it if you'd like. That's more common in a lot of our short-term rentals and stuff, because some people park right in front of it, and it's impeding the view, and we don't want to do that. People are spending good money for that. But just note the beach access points can be a little bit tricky. If you want to know some of the secret areas, just give us a call and we'll let you know. I hope this was helpful to you. As I mentioned before, if it was, comment down below, hit the like button, just show us a little bit of love so that we understand this is the type of video you guys like, and that's how we make some of our decisions when we are shooting these videos. So hope it was helpful, and I'll see you guys next week.